Go ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So today, in the second forum of 2011, we are going to speak about Lao Zi, one of the major figures in Chinese philosophy. Lao Zi has probably exerted more influence over Chinese thought than ever other person did, except Confucius. The existence of Lao Zi is strongly debated, but according to some historical data, he was born in today's Henan province of China and worked as an archivist in the imperial court of Zhou dynasty. We don't know the exact time of his life, but according to some legends, he was older contemporary of Confucius, and they even probably met. Lao Zi wrote one book, very famous book, Tao Te Ching, but the authorship of this book is also strongly debated. Maybe he didn't write this, but the book, which has only 10,000 characters, is most quoted book in the history with Bible. So Lao Zi is very, very important, and Taoism is a very difficult subject to learn. So today, my friend Aleksandar Stamatov will try to tell us about the main concepts of this teaching in half an hour. It's really not easy task. So let's give him a word. So please.
Thank you, Roman. I would like to first develop what Roman said at the beginning. Everyone heard Lao Zi, I'm sure, right? So, was he a real person or not? That's a big question today in history. So, according to the historical records written around 100 BC by a famous historian in China, Lao Zi was born in the end of the 7th century and lived through 6th century BC. And he worked as an archivist, as Roman said. And when he was old, he decided to leave this world, to leave China. And he went in the west. And there on the border pass, there was a keeper. And said he wouldn't let him go before Lao Zi wrote something down. So that's according to this historian. Lao Zi wrote the book, which is known as Tao Te Ching. This is an English translation the first translation is made in 1934. I mean, this edition by Arthur Waley. This is, of course, a new edition from the 90s. And this small book has 5,000 characters in all, and 81 chapters. And as you can see, they are very short. Okay, let's forward. They are like this: one chapter, chapter after chapter. And they exerted a lot of influence in the Chinese thought, in life, and even in influence in the West today, especially. This is one of the bestsellers in the world today, together with the Bible. And it's one of the most translated Chinese books in foreign languages. There are around 50 English translations. There are around 250 other translations in other languages in the world. Okay, so the authorship. Today the scholars believe that the book wasn't written at the 6th century BC, as people believe that Lao Zi lived. They believe that it was written like 4th or 3rd century BC, and probably by one person, probably by more persons, who actually gave the name of the book Lao Zi. They called the book Lao Zi. That was the original name of the book, because like the author was Lao Zi, so they called it Lao Zi. But actually that's not important if the book was written by Lao Zi or someone else. What is important, the book is here, and now 2,000 years after, we are still talking about it. Because the influence is very great. Okay. So, today I would say Lao Zi said, Lao Zi said. I wouldn't say the book that is ascribed to Lao Zi says, okay? To save time. Like we speak about sunset and sunrise, but we know sun doesn't rise and sets, right? Okay. You want to argue about this?
Yeah, right afterward.
Okay.
Question and answer session.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Lao Zi didn't bother with astronomy and physics. He bothered with something else. Okay. The first word in the book, the first chapter is Tao. That's the first word. Tao is a very important concept of Lao Zi's philosophy. So, what does Tao mean? We can translate it into English as a way with big W, or there are many different translations, or some people use logos from ancient Greek philosophy, logos. But I prefer to use Tao, not translate it, because way can maybe mislead to something else. Okay, so Tao is, according to Lao Zi, is a metaphysical concept. That's something that our world depends on, and our world comes from, and also goes back to. So Tao is, as Lao Zi says, the beginning of the universe, or the mother of the universe. He likes to use this word mother. He likes to use female adjectives to I will go back to this later, okay? Okay. So, as I said, Tao is the support of the world, and in a way, it's something that is seen in the world, but it's not something that can be perceived by the usual senses, seen by eyes or touched by fingers or what else. If you ask today, for example, a modern priest, Taoist priest, who belong to Taoist religion, or an adept, ask them what is Tao, and they will say, Tao is what you smell, what you breathe. Okay, that's not the definition of Lao Zi. Of course, this is a more concrete definition for people to understand. But if the priests try explaining in the same way as Lao Zi explains, then people will say, why would we like to accept this? You know, if I cannot grasp Tao if I cannot see it, if I can touch it, so why? So of course it should be something that you can smell, you can breathe, right? But let's not go very far. Chapter 1 says, I will use this translation. This is by Wing-Tsit Chan, because it's more simple, because this is more poetic. Maybe it's not bad. I don't say it's bad, but for this purpose, I think this one is better. Says, the first chapter says, the Tao that can be told of is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. So, according to Lao Zi, Tao is nameless. We cannot name Tao. Tao is ineffable. We cannot say anything about Tao. So now what we are doing here, it's wrong, according to Lao Zi. We are talking about Tao. It's wrong. Let's go home. Okay.
But he also wrote the book.
Yeah, he wrote the book because he was forced, according to the legend. Okay, anyway. I would like to quote another. This is chapter 25. Oh God, I have to use this one. It says, there was something undifferentiated and yet complete, which existed before heaven and earth, soundless and formless. It depends on nothing and does not change. It operates everywhere and is free from danger. It may be considered the mother of the universe. I do not know its name. I call it Tao. So that's how Lao Zi defines Tao. There is no name. So, okay, then you will ask, but what is Tao? Isn't Tao a name? When you say that's Tao, so that's a name. Okay, yes, probably it is. But according to Lao Zi's definition, Tao is a name which is not a name. So, a little bit paradoxical, but that's how Lao Zi is. He is a paradoxical person. He likes to mix up things. That's why people are trying for 2,000 years to discover what he was trying to say. Tao is a name that is not a name. So what does it mean? In this world, we have a lot of things. And we give names to things. Book, watch, cup, water, everything. Table, we give names. But when you give name to Tao, it's not the same as we are giving name to a thing. the difference comes from that Tao is not a thing. It's not a thing. Only things can have names. Tao is not a thing. So Tao is a name which is not a name. Okay. Where is Tao? In philosophy there is one term called transcendence. Maybe you've heard about it, transcendence. And the opposite of transcendence is immanence. So Tao is transcendent, which means it's not reachable by our senses. It's somewhere out there. We cannot grasp it with our ordinary experience, with our ordinary experience life. Although, while these things are immanent, we can see them, we can touch them. So Tao transcends our experience. But let's not make conclusions very fast. Although Tao transcends our experience, Tao in a way is also immanent in this world. Right, so now this is a little bit confusing. Tao is actually transcendent and immanent. And how is this possible? This is possible by Lao Zi introducing the term te, or de in Chinese, de, like de. Like Germany, the same character. And de is sometimes it's translated as power, virtue, or something similar. But anyway, I wouldn't translate it. I would use de. So de is the power that comes from Tao in this world, in our immanent world, sensible world, and it's the part of Tao that makes everything to be what it is, right? So we have Tao, day of table, day of book, day of person, and of everything. So in this way, according to Lao Zi, the transcendent Tao becomes immanent through the help of de, or de, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, why is they important also? Because de is needed for the nurturing of the world, for the nourishing of the world. So Lao Zi says, Tao creates the world, de nourishes it. So it's like Tao and de actually, the final analysis are the same. That's the same. We can say that de is something that we actually ascribe to Tao, because Tao is here, but Tao is something that we cannot name it. So we have to use some indirect way to grasp Tao. So that's called de. Okay. Now there is a question: what is Tao? Is Tao being or not being, non-being? That's a big question, because Lao Zi is sometimes contradictory. Sometimes he refers to Tao as being, sometimes as non-being. Well, anyway, if we understand Tao as transcendent, then we can say Tao is non-being. If we understand it as de, as immanent, then Tao is being. But why do we need this difference, being and non-being? Why do we need this? In ancient Greece, there were at the same time, approximately the same time, there were a philosophical school called Eleans, and the leader Parmenides, and they were also talking about being, and they said the being is, and the non-being is not, or there is no non-being. So there is only being, there is no non-being, and they stated this, and they say being is unmovable, unchangeable, one simple thing, and as Zizek in one interview said, the being is there, is stupid. So that's what the Eleans said. The being is stupid. But anyway, Lao Zi says there is actually non-being. And of course, if there is being, there must be non-being. You can't understand that there is only a being which is stupid. Because if there is stupid, then there must be something that is smart. That's the dialectic, Taoistic dialectic of the opposites, the yin-yang. You know, you can't say for something that is there if there is not something else that is not there. So that's why we need to have the non-being. Non-being is the supposition of the being. The being comes from non-being. Then, as I mentioned again, what is Tao? Is Tao being or non-being? Well, if you can understand this division between being and non-being, then you can put Tao in both things. Tao can be being, depends on the case, how we are talking about, or it can be non-being. And Lao Zi says, what is it? Yeah, chapter 42. He says, Tao produced the one. The one produced the two. The two produced the three. And the three produced the 10,000 things. Okay, 10,000 things means all things. In ancient China, they used to say 10,000 things. They didn't say all things. Okay, the beginning is Tao produced the one. So now we have, okay, one. But then we have Tao. Tao is before one. So what is Tao? Is Tao not non-one? Is Tao zero? What is Tao? Well, this is the point where we can mix the being and the non-being. If the one is understood as the being, as the whole existence, then of course Tao is the non-being, right? And in other places, he refers it the supreme being, the supreme one. So like there is one and there is something that is even more than one, so it's supreme one. Okay, so that's the relation between being and non-being. I believe I explained it well, but we'll see maybe later if you have any questions. Yeah, another important thing for Lao Tzu is, I mentioned the opposites, yin and yang, smart and stupid. That was an example. Okay. He says if we recognize beauty as beauty, then we also have to recognize ugliness. If we recognize hard, then we have to recognize soft. So there is no, it's like a bivalent logic. It's not only one. So Lao Tzu likes to have both of the opposites at the same time. So this is the point that he's going astray from the Western logic, let's say. And in that time, and even today, that's why Lao Tzu is still interesting even today because of this theory. It became known as yin and yang. So what are yin and yang? Well, they are two polarities. They are not opposites. They work together. So sometimes one is up, sometimes the other one is up. So they're like always in movement. You remember that circle with the black and white fish with eyes inside? So that's the movements of the yang and yin. Yin is symbol of soft, female, dark, everything that is like with less energy. Yang is of course the opposite, the strong, the male, the white, the warm, etc. So for Lao Tzu, the movements of the world and Tao as a supporter of all the world is possible because of these movements of the opposites. So it's always like going from one extreme to another, going back. It's always movement. Okay, you can make circle or whatever, it doesn't matter. And in this way, Lao Tzu says Tao is, in English, is translated as uncarved block. Uncarved block. There's no shape. We don't know what's the shape, but it's simple. It's very simple. That's the whole point. The Chinese word actually means simplicity, if we translate it literally. The simplicity of Tao is actually the movements between one extreme to another extreme, and that's very simple and it's very perfect. Simplicity is perfect for Lao Tzu. Like, hello? Yeah. What was I saying? Simplicity. Right. Yeah, simplicity. I noticed that I like simple things. And then I realized, why do I like simple things? Because they are close to perfection. Usually people think that perfect thing should be very complicated. No, actually not. Simple things are more perfect than the more complicated, more sophisticated things. This way, we can go to the next point, which is very important theory in Lao Tzu. That's Wu Wei, the theory of non-action. In that time, Wu Wei was very attractive, and even today is still attractive. Lao Zi is I could say Lao Zi is still a modern philosopher or contemporary philosopher, because we can still use his ideas even today. And Wu Wei is his big originality that that influences the whole culture in China, and today it influenced also Zen Buddhism. Wu Wei. It influenced what else? There are probably some Western scholars who are using Wu Wei today to explain some things. Wu Wei literally means non-action, but we shouldn't understand it as non-action. It's more like effortless action. You're doing something without putting much effort. It's not just not doing anything. Just stay and not doing anything. You should, of course, have some effort, but you have to follow the natural laws of Tao. And the natural laws are actually naturality. Actually, I said that's Lao Zi's term, ziran, which in Chinese today, in contemporary Chinese, is used ziran, nature. According to this ziran, according to this law, Tao does not act, but leaves nothing undone. There's no action, but everything is done. So that's Wu Wei. And Wu Wei is most important when it's applied to humans. So a person should use Wu Wei, or actually he should not act, but he should let nothing be undone. And for Lao Zi, those who can do this are sages, are real sages. They have the wisdom of the universe. This theory he actually tries to impose to the rulers, and it's actually a political theory, how to govern a state. At the same time, the Confucians said a state should be a very complicated thing. It should have a hierarchy. It should be governed by humanity, benevolence, righteousness. We should have complicated ceremonies and rituals, and that's how a state will be perfect. But as I said, for Lao Zi, only simplicity is perfect. So the ruler should forget about all these things. Actually, he should be, or she should be above those things. He should rule with Tao. And Lao Zi says, if Tao is lost, there is death. When Te is lost, there is benevolence. There's the Confucian virtue, benevolence, Ren. And benevolence and righteousness, Yi. So that means that the morality, the Confucian morality, is actually, Lao Zi tries to deconstruct it. It says there is something above it. You need to have morality when you don't realize when you don't realize the way, the Tao. When you don't realize, then you need morality. So that's like when you don't know how to behave, and then someone imposes laws on you and say you should do this and this and this. You don't understand why, but you know you have to do it. So that's how Lao Zi interpret Confucianism. They don't know the way. If they would know it, then they would be simple sages, simple rulers, and let the people of their state develop by themselves. So, yeah. Okay. According to Lao Zi, a perfect state is the one that is small in size. It has weapons, but hardly someone used them. That's how he explains. Actually, I can probably read that. It's better. That's chapter 80. Let there be a small country with few people. Let there be 10 times and 100 times as many utensils, but let them not be used. Let the people value their lives highly and not migrate far. Even if there are ships and carriages, none will ride in them. Even if there are armor and weapons, none will display them. Let the people again knot cords and use them in place of writing. Let them relish their food, beautify their clothing, be content with their homes and delight in their customs, and so on and so on. Okay. So, according to him, the state should be simple. So, no technology. Imagine like suddenly we decide to create a